What's going on YouTube? It's Pelfrey, and this might be the last time that you see the Red Sea Reefer with Kessils lighting on top. If you follow me on Instagram, you already know where this is going. A couple different things. I decided, since there's really no coral in the tank, I'm gonna have to do a couple things. We'll come back to the lighting. So if you're not following me on Instagram, check me out at Pelfrey's Reef, and then check out the website at pelfrey.net real quick. I'm gonna have to figure out, like I said, we'll circle back to the lighting here in 1 second. I'm gonna have to figure out a solution for the gyre pumps over here. My kids have figured out that they can stand here and pull the magnets either off or down. So if you've been following me for a while, you know that I don't really like this rock structure to begin with, and this is all one rock structure. I'd really like to put the gyre pumps on the back of the tank, and in order for me to do that and it function properly, I feel like that structure's got to go. So I do have something in the works to replace this entire structure, or I think I do anyway. So not really sure how that's going to work out in the end, but I'm going to give it a try. We'll just go ahead and talk about the lighting real quick. So I have 3 Kessils A160s on the tank, and I'm using 80/20 extruded aluminum mount for the Kessils lights. So an opportunity arose for me to grab 2 brand new Gen 4 Radion XR15s. So I got the XR15s. I was told I'm gonna need the diffusers, but I didn't pick them up yet. I decided that I'm gonna try just the lighting itself first, and then you know, if I need to get the diffusers, that's something you can definitely add on next. So I am gonna use the 80/20 mount for the lighting. If you know who Reef Dudes is, he's got a similar mount, and he's got XR15s, and he used the RMS slider. So I do have 2 RMS sliders on the way. They would have already been here, except for, well, let's look real quick, because they're in town. Nope, USPS did not drop them off. Apparently Bulk Reef Supply had a software issue this past week, so they were delayed 1 day, which is totally fine. I got no issue with that. So in the end, 2 XR15s is going to replace 3 Kessils A160s, and the Neptune AFS is going off right in the middle of the video, which is, you know, it is what it is. So again, I need the RMS sliders, and I'll be in business. I'll be able to mount them to the 80/20 here, and we'll be good to go. So I did post a question on Instagram asking Reef Link or WXM module. I had a WXM module about a month and a half ago, and I sold it with the MP10 that I had. So luckily, you know, it was pretty overwhelming. People said, especially if you're running an Apex already, you might as well just go ahead and grab the WXM. So luckily, Scurvy, I talked to him quite a bit on Instagram and on Reef to Reef, trying to convince him to do more videos, but he messaged me and said, hey, I have a WXM. I've never used it before. It's the older casing, which, you know, if you've been following me, obviously my other WXM was the older casing, and the casing doesn't matter to me. It's all inside this cabinet, so you can't see it. So he sold me his WXM module. I set it up last night, and I am running the Apex Classic, so I did update the firmware on just the WXM, and then I updated the RF firmware for it as well, for the wireless signal to the Ecotech equipment. And I am running the Apex Classic, and I made a mistake by updating the firmware on the module over wireless. Now, I didn't read one way or another on updating modules, but you should by no means update your firmware on the Apex brain over wireless at all. So mine happened to work. Maybe I just got lucky. Not really sure. So what I got also is, this is the Gyre Advanced controller. This is my original controller. The display on it had gone bad long ago, so much so that programming it became just real cumbersome and just really a pain. And again, I was talking to Scurvy about it, and he said, open up a ticket with Coralvue. And you know, I work in a ticketing system, and unfortunately I just didn't want to spend the time to open a ticket, but I'm glad that I did, because I opened a ticket, I sent them proof of purchase, excuse the baby in the background, I sent them proof of purchase and pictures of the display, and they sent me a brand new display, and the display works perfectly. My camera, if I plugged this in and tried to show you, my camera would not show you exactly what's wrong with the screens. For some reason it kind of modifies it, makes it look better, but I assure you the screen on here is very hard to read. So again, shout out to Coralvue for replacing the brain there. They didn't exactly tell me what to do with this one, so I sent them this picture of this one and then a picture of the new one, and that's what I'm supposed to do with the old one, and we'll just kind of go from there. So in a nutshell, that's kind of what's going on. For the sake of transparency, got one of the XR15s here next to the Kessils, and you know, it should be a, if I can get my camera right, should be a cleaner look anyway. Of course I'm gonna drop them down to probably about right here, which is, you know, roughly 7-8 inches above the water line. But you know, I've never personally seen a Radion, so you know, it's I'm like a kid at Christmas for sure right now, just looking at this light, and definitely how popular it is, and I definitely jumped on this bandwagon. So it comes with a USB cord, and guess I got to be smart enough to figure out where the USB cord plugs in maybe, and I'm going to update some firmware on the lights. Trying to prepare for the sliders to come in. We've gone ahead and got the Radions connected to the WXM module. Kessils, Radion. Radion, meet Kessil. This is your new replacement. You've been demoted. I wanted to go ahead and get them configured on Apex, because I can set the light schedule from work or anywhere now. Now that they're connected to the WXM module, assuming that I can unplug them, box them back up, and still manipulate the configuration. Now, I do have to say that I was reading some information on connecting the Radions to the WXM module, and at first I thought it was going to be a huge pain, but apparently that is for generation 1 and 2. For generation 3 and 4, it's a very simple process. Update the WXM, reset the Radions, since I'm using the Apex Classic with the Classic dashboard, attach the Radions. Now I did both of them at the same time, and move the tiles into Apex Fusion. Now you do have to create your light schedule per light, and the other thing is you can actually download schemes here. So obviously we've got a couple different schemes that are loaded here. I do have the AB Plus scheme loaded here, and you do have to copy it for each light. So this is Radion 1317. If I wanted to change 1318, you would have to come over here and copy the profile. So if you make one change to one of the lights, you have to copy it to the other one, and that's fine, that's no big deal. So the only thing that I'm gonna have to figure out is setting up a profile for recording the tank. So anybody that's got an Apex that wants to give me view-only access to it, and you have profile set up like that, let me know, because I definitely have to do some research on that. But I do plan on trying to mount the Radions up here and do a side-by-side comparison with the Kessils. But I wanted to go ahead and get some of the legwork done, because mounting the lights is probably going to take longer than it did to get them set up with the WXM module, but it's still going to be a little while before I get them mounted, but I'm looking forward to it, and I'm ready. If you made it this long in the video, then I'll just go ahead and admit that sometimes my videos are like weeks or maybe months behind where we're actually at on the Red Sea Reefer 250. For instance, sometimes I upload videos and they sit there for a month, so you know, it just kind of is what it is. But you you know, we're gonna save this for the next video, but the Radions are hung over the Red Sea Reefer 250. Thrilled with it. So in the next video, we'll go over how I hung them over the tank. Also, I got a big piece of rock in the sump that I just put in the sump that came from Marco. So we're gonna let that kind of cure in the sump here. And my objective is, that's actually a pedestal rock from Marco. My objective is to take this structure out, break it up a little bit, put the pedestal in the tank, and then put some of these pieces back into the tank. We're gonna kind of see what happens to this brown stuff on the sand bed there. But that's about it. So I do appreciate you watching. Stay tuned because I got a lot more information on the Radion XR15s and what my opinion is of the light so far. Appreciate you following along. Check me out on Instagram at Pelfrey's Reef. Check out the website at pelfrey.net. Catch you on the next one.